It's really better than I could have imagined that I could come somewhere like this.
I felt I got my mum back. She came here and they were just brilliant, and it was so friendly. And a lot of the worries that I had about how she would cope with the transition, I think were just taken away by the brilliant staff. There's been an awful lot in the press about care homes being a hotbed of infection, and I don't think they've had a particularly fair press in that just how well they have looked after vulnerable people.
We have a rolling testing programme, so all team members and residents are being tested on a regular basis. There are regular briefing updates, so anything that changes, we know about that straight away. So the communication has been fantastic, and that's filtered down, from senior management to team members on the floor.
The almost weekly communication from Gracewell back home has been brilliant, because they've told us they've been quite open. If there's been a problem, they've told us how much testing is going on. They've said if they've had to not allow visits for a particular reason, and they've explained why. And then they've tried, it looks to me as if they've tried to open up visiting as soon as they possibly could. So they've always had that eye on how can we make visits happen, how can we enable things to happen. But at the same time, that underpinning that, there's a lot of research into, is it safe?
We've had different periods where we've had to adapt what we do. So whether that means at some point, because of residents being symptomatic, we may have had to isolate certain areas of the building. So we would go to having corridor bingo or in-room activity packs, so that we can adapt and flex as and when we need to keep our residents safe, but also keep them engaged.
Aside from our activity team and our carers, everybody has bought into supporting the mental well-being of our residents. So whether that's through facilitating more FaceTime calls, whether that's going for a stroll in the garden, a one-to-one, having a coffee, reading the headlines together. It's been much more around providing emotional support.
I have thought, did I make the right decision? But then if I look at the alternative, she'd have been in a large house that she couldn't really manage. She would have had 4 carers a day coming in. Who knows where they'd been, where they'd come from, who else they were seeing. I wouldn't have been able to see her. And I think she would also have been very lonely, because she wouldn't have had that contact. So I think she had better care and a better quality of life being here than had she stayed in her old home.